COVID did not get into the nursing homes by people coming from hospitals. COVID got into the nursing homes by staff walking into the nursing home.
Melissa DeRosa, she was being questioned by the Democratic legislature in a private setting. She privately apologized to withholding the state's nursing home death toll, telling them that we, quote, froze out of fear that the true numbers would be used against us by federal prosecutors. So this is essentially, Crystal, an admission of a cover-up of the number of deaths in nursing homes, which was a result of the decision by Cuomo and the administration themselves in the early days of the pandemic to place people who were actively had COVID-19 back in the nursing homes, where we have had the vast majority of the deaths, especially in the early days. That decision cost probably thousands of lives. And nobody is saying Cuomo intentionally did this. But since the beginning, and we've been under scrutiny, we've talked about it here, I think almost since May, it's been in the public sphere. Nobody has decided to acknowledge it. Thousands of people lost their lives. And now they are basically admitting that they covered up the actual death toll figures in order to stop scrutiny from the federal prosecutors, but more importantly, and let's be real, from the media, who were never all that curious in the first place.
We were too focused on doing the job and addressing the crisis of the moment.
Too focused on doing the job. This is like in a job interview when they're like, what's your greatest weakness? And you're like, oh, I care too much. I just work too hard and I care too much. Just to remind you all, so the initial decision is we're going to allow nursing home patients who have had coronavirus back into the nursing home, okay? Then when he's confronted with that, he accuses this of just being a partisan hit job and nothing to see here, and that's what he's referring to,
multiple times.
Cynics. Yeah. That was his go-to excuse. Meanwhile, the state legislature in the state of New York was requesting more information about exactly what the death toll number was. They totally stonewalled them for months and months and months. At the same time, the Trump Justice Department also requests that same information. Same thing. They delay, they delay, they delay. And now we're finally getting maybe a full picture of just how severe that death toll was. And this all came out of a report from the Democratic Attorney General, by the way. This is not from Republicans. This is from Letitia James, the Democratic Attorney General, the report that came out there that showed the number of nursing home deaths was maybe as much as 50% higher than what the Cuomo administration was admitting to. They've since had to go and correct the public record, but again, they only did that after they were caught. I mean, that's really the reality here. So to get back to the substance and the context of his aide admitting like, hey, sorry, guys, we just were worried that we're going to get in legal trouble because of the deaths in nursing homes and this catastrophic decision. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous behavior. And add to that the reporting we talked about before from the New York Times that multiple, I think 7 of the top public health officials in the state of New York resigning because of Cuomo disregarding their guidance and their advice. This paints an incredibly damning portrait of a man who was so impressed with his own response that he, declared mission accomplished, published a book about how incredible he was and what an amazing job he did. It's an absolute scandal and disgrace, and I honestly think he should resign. I mean, this was mission critical. And not only did he bungle it, okay, maybe you could forgive that.
You can,
because
if he owned up to it.
It was coming at, this came at New York hard and fast. Everyone was trying to figure out what the best course was. But to lie, to cover up, and to fail to take any responsibility, that's unforgivable.
That is the unforgivable part, because not only that, too, and this is where the media angle comes in, which is that it was so obvious that this man was acting outrageously, writing a book. We covered that poster that he made here, where they conquered coronavirus. Never get cocky with COVID, says the man who wrote a book, feted by the world's elite, getting the, literally accepting the award on an Emmy, and I watched this clip of all these celebrities thanking their governor. Thank you so much for the way that you governed yourself during this pandemic and more. And look, this is a person who made a terrible decision. Now, like you said, maybe you could even defend that decision. It was the very early days. We didn't know, but you have to own up to it. And he did not own up to it. They covered it up in what is possibly a crime here in terms of not reporting data to federal prosecutors. I'm sure they'll probably get away with it, but it deserves absolute scrutiny. And from the media angle, this man was absolutely bowed down to and turned into a demigod in those early days of the pandemic.